3 stupid mistakes I've made since RVing part 2. Let's just hope I don't make any more stupid mistakes. My last stupid mistakes video ended with me driving down a road that I had no business driving down. I made the same mistake again, only for a different reason. A couple of years ago, my first winter in my motorhome, I was staying at a campground in New Jersey that I had never been to before. I got a reservation email that had my campsite number and directions to my campsite. The check-in was at 5 p.m., which is kind of late for a campground. So I get there and it's the winter time. So at 5 p.m. it's already dark out. The office wasn't open. It was below freezing. I was sitting in the parking lot wanting to check my cell phone to get my confirmation email just to confirm the site number and the directions to my campsite. The owner of the campground even drove up and asked me if I knew how to get to my campsite. And I said, yeah, because I had the email that had directions to my campsite and the site wasn't too far from the office. So I was pretty confident that I would be able to find it. I started driving to my campsite and I passed the site. In my defense, it was dark out, so I couldn't see the campsite number. I should have just stopped, got my flashlight, went out and checked the campsite number because the consequence of not doing so was pretty bad. I was pretty sure that I had passed my campsite, but I didn't know where to turn around. So I was just going to drive down the road, figuring that it would loop around. I was driving down the road and the road started getting really icy. It was down a hill. This was an area where there was tent camping spots. So there was nobody tent camping in the wintertime. And I'm sure that's why the campsite owners put me in a campsite that was close to the office. There was no ice down that way. Driving down this icy road in the dark, I was really scared. I was afraid that I might just slide on the ice and then hit a tree. It was a heavily wooded area. So at a certain point, I just decided that the safest thing to do would be to just pull into the campsite right next to me. I figured that I could just spend the night there, and then the next morning I would call the office and tell them what happened. In a couple of days, the temperature was going to warm up and then the ice would melt. So they gave me permission to spend another night at that campsite, and then I was going to leave and go to my designated campsite. So the morning came where I was going to go to my designated campsite. Because it was a tent campsite, it wasn't specifically for RVs, so there were trees there, and as I pulled out of the site, I heard this sound, and then I heard glass shatter, and I got out of my RV and checked the damage. I hit a tree, and it pulled off the awning, one side of my awning, and the metal part of the awning smashed into my RV door, smashing out the glass in the window. So I was panic-stricken. I didn't know what to do. So I drove up to the office. I told the owner what happened. I couldn't drive around with half of my awning hanging off my motorhome. So some guys who worked at the campground took the awning off. It was ruined anyway. And then as far as my shattered window on the door, these guys who worked at the campground cut some of the tarp from the awning off and used it as a window to my RV door. It was the winter time, okay? And I had nothing but a tarp over my window of my RV door until I got it fixed. And I have to tell you, it pretty much took me the entire winter to get a new door because it had to be ordered from the manufacturer and apparently they had to custom make it. So yeah, I spent the entire winter without a window in my RV door. If that wasn't bad enough, there was some damage that I did to my RV a few weeks prior at another campground. I was at a campground in southern New Jersey and I had to do my laundry, and the place had a laundromat. However, the laundromat was not close to my campsite. So I walked up to the laundromat to check it out to see if there was any place to park there. It was a heavily wooded area. There was a place to park. I drove my motorhome up there and I managed to park it. However, when I was pulling out, I ended up sideswiping my motorhome on a tree.
Oops.
At the time I heard a sound, but when I got out to check my motorhome, I didn't see any damage. It wasn't until the next day when I was checking out and I was walking around my motorhome, I happened to notice that my exterior ladder on the back was torn off somewhat. It was secure enough that it wasn't going to fall off while driving. However, it was damaged, it was unusable, and it did need to get repaired. Fail! I had a 30-foot motorhome. I should have known better. That's what I get for being lazy and not being willing to walk up to the laundry room to do my laundry. I got an oil change, and the guy who changed my oil made me aware of the fact that my 2 front tires were very worn and I needed new front tires. So I immediately took my RV to a place to get new tires, and the told me that the rear tires were looking pretty worn. He saw some evidence of dry rot as well, and he said that I would probably have to get new tires in the back pretty soon. That day I was just going to get 2 new front tires. However, I was concerned about my rear tires, and so I went back into the office and I told the guy that I was going to travel to Maine from New Jersey, and I just wanted to know if the tires would be good for that drive. And the guy said, oh, well, in that case, you probably should get new back tires as well because they're pretty worn. So I got 6 new tires that day. It cost an arm and a leg. RV tires only last between 3 to 5 years, and those tires were probably close to 5 years old. When I went into the office to pay, the man at the cash register told me that when they took off my back tires, they noticed that one of my interior tires, the tread was almost entirely worn off, and I surely would have gotten a tire blowout if I had attempted to drive to Maine. The moral of the story is you need to check your tires on a regular basis, but you also need to check them properly. When you have dualies, that inside back tire can be kind of difficult to see. So what I started doing was getting my tires rotated every 6 months, not just to extend the life of the tires, but also to make sure that I have a tire expert looking at my tires every 6 months in order to make me aware of any kind of problems with the tires. I hope that my experiences can help other people so that you don't do the kind of damage to your rig that I did.